by this regulation. Back-to-back triples for Mono Vampire.
Only 7 remaining. He makes his move. Young forces it up and in!
CC hasn't made a shot before that.
Pretty good so far here in the first half.
Lie. Oh, everyone for the Black Bears finding the bottom of the net.
Leaky with a big steal. Leaky for 3. That goes in. What a play!
We are saying hello from the prosperous city of San Juan here in the Philippines as we continue our rise to greatness in the 2019-2020 season of the ASEAN Basketball League. We are back here at the Filoil Flying V Center, one of the busiest venues in the country as San Miguel Alab Pilipinas plays host to the Macau Wolf Warriors. This is a presentation brought to you by ABS-CBN Sports and Virtual Playground, and the second meeting between these two teams in Season 10 of the ABL. Hello everybody, my name is Anton Rojas, and joining me to break down this contest is Christian Luanzon, and later on we will also be hearing the latest updates at courtside from our very own Franny Reyes. But Christian, if the first meeting between these two teams is any indication of what's to expect tonight, then this should be a very good matchup.
Well, you can expect the home team in Alab Pilipinas to keep the streak going, and you can expect a team like the Wolf Warriors, who just came off a tough loss in Singapore, to bounce back. One thing that you want to do if you're Coach Todd Purves, who's an experienced coach already in this league, is to get those bounce-back wins, especially on the road.
And we're taking a look at the team standings right now. San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, definitely one of the hottest teams in the ABL, winning 4 straight matchups after dropping their opening assignment against Mono Vampire. On the other hand, the Macau Wolf Warriors, after winning back-to-back games, lost, as you mentioned, in their last game against Singapore.
Well, they were hoping to make that 3 straight. I was there in China when they played against their counterpart home team in the Macau Black Bears. They really played well. Steve Thomas fouled out in the 3rd quarter, but despite of that, they managed to pull off a victory in that one. And for Alab Pilipinas, you want to keep this thing going, especially with the long season again. You want to pour up those wins early in the season.
Well, partner, I was there in Changhua in Taiwan when San Miguel Alab Pilipinas escaped with a 1-point victory against the Formosa Dreamers in a game wherein Khalif Wyatt once again played the hero, hitting the game-winning triple with less than a minute to go against the Formosa Dreamers.
And you see at the bottom of your screen, former USC Growling Tiger and Louis Vigil, 9 points, 5 boards, did most of this damage in the second half, along with Jason Brickman, who was scoreless in the first half, scored all of his points in the second half. It was a slow start, was down by 8 after 2 quarters was Alab, but then managed to have a huge 3rd quarter to be +10 in that quarter and managed to win 1 point against a tough crowd in Taiwan.
And as you mentioned, Singapore prevailing against the Macau Wolf Warriors, stopping their back-to-back victories. But you mentioned this guy right here, Khalif Wyatt. The big question for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas was who would be the closer with the departure of the likes of Ronaldo Balkman and Bobby Ray Parks Jr. Khalif Wyatt has emerged as that guy for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
Certainly, and you talk about answering the call. Out of the 4 wins, 3, I believe he's been the hero in those clutch moments. You look at the numbers on your screens, and despite of a guy like Anthony Tucker, drilling a 4 3-pointers in 2.5 minutes in that game, Wyatt had a pass from Brickman, who finished with 12 assists in that game, came off with the biggest shot of the game. Hey, you only need 1 point to win. Wyatt did that for them.
Well, partner, here's a guy that you know very well. You had some sort of a reunion earlier because you played against him during the time that he won an ABL championship back in 2012 when he was still playing for Indonesia.
Both played and watched him. I say watched because mostly I was on the sidelines. The guys who were really doing the work were namely Asi Taulava and Eric Meng, the assistant of Alab Pilipinas. But it's great to see the big guy at age 37 getting 20 rebounds in the last game. I mentioned his name earlier against the game in Macau against the Black Bears, wherein he fouled out in the third quarter. It was a big question mark heading into the fourth. His teammates step up, obviously, and then with a tough loss against a team like Singapore, who has a Marcus Elliott who made a huge basket in the end. For him to get 20 boards and score like that at his age just proves that age is only a number.
What's important is he still remembered you, and I can attest to that. Now let's take a look at the matchup for tonight, and it is a matchup between the elite playmakers. This should be a very good one. Jason Brickman and, of course, Doug Herring.
Well, two guys who love to get their teammates involved. Not only can pass the ball, as the numbers speak for themselves, but guys who can also score if need be. Jason Brickman, one of the more unselfish, if not the most unselfish guard we have in the league, will be coming up against a guy who's emerging in the league as well. And you see that 24 points per game, almost 7 boards, almost 9 assists. This should be an interesting matchup.
I would say he has emerged, being a champion
There you
already
go.
last year
Yeah.
for the BT and CLS Knights of Indonesia. Let's get the ball rolling and turn it over to Top Juliano, our Coliseum barker.
Happy New Year and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you back here at the Filoil Flying V Center in San Juan, Manila, Philippines, as we kick off the first game for 2020 of our very own San Miguel Alab Pilipinas in the ongoing 10th season of the ASEAN Basketball League. Tonight, they take on the visiting Macau Wolf Warriors live via ABS-CBN SNA and Virtual Playground. And now, let's call out the teams. First, the visiting Macau Wolf Warriors. Number 0, Scotty Ewing. Number 2, Chris Shenter. Number 9, Douglas Herring. Number 14, Tang Man Oi. Number 23, Kai Chen. Number 25, Hu Ye. Number 31, Shang He. Number 32, Sun Hu Fung. Number 42, Julian Boyd. Number 55, Stephen Thomas. Number 67, Chong Chen Chao. And number 85, Tang Chu Kung. The head coach for the Macau Wolf Warriors is Todd Purvis. His assistants are Jordan Collins and Xu Susen. Once again, the Macau Wolf Warriors. And now it's time to welcome our very own San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. Number 1, Khalif Wyatt. Number 2, Jeremiah Gray. Number 3, Lo Domingo. Number 5, Jason Brickman. Number 13, Shadi Rangel. Number 15, heads up for Jordan Heading. Number 18, LV Louis Vigil. Number 21, Big Sam Deguara. Number 24, Brandon Canuelas Rosser. Number 27, Double A, Aaron Alban. Number 30, Andre Karakin. And number 55, His Majesty Nick King. The head coach for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas is Jimmy Alabag. His assistants are Mac Kuan, Eric Menk, and MC Abolosing. Again, a big hand for our very own San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. Both teams now may proceed to the center court for the pre-game handshake.
Here in Season 10 of the ASEAN Basketball League as we are live from the Filoil Flying V Center here in San Juan City in the Philippines. It is San Miguel Alab Pilipinas hosting the Macau Wolf Warriors. This is the second matchup between these two teams. The first matchup went to overtime where San Miguel Alab Pilipinas prevailed 114 to 110 in a thriller. And this is our keys to the game for today's matchup.
Well, more effort on defense, that's going to be key. We all know, we've seen so far rather, the offensive attack, but the defense has been subpar. Pretty much the same number as they've been scoring offensively. They've been giving up the same number at about 95 to 98, I believe. And you see, attack the paint. One of the keys to San Miguel Alab winning, specifically in the last game against Formosa, because they dominated the paint, 58 to 40, I believe, in that game. And that's going to be key for them. It's been pretty much layups and threes for this winning streak of Alab Pilipinas. So for the Wolf Warriors, it's up to them to stop those two ingredients. And the last one, obviously, they got to do a good, just continue to go to Brickman and then allow him to do his thing in terms of his playmaking.
Now we switch our attention to the other side and take a look at the keys to the game for the Macau Wolf Warriors.
Get scorers going. It's gonna be important for the Wolf Warriors, not only for a guy like Steve Thomas who can operate inside, for even a guy like Tai, number 23, who comes off the bench. He had 13 points in the last game. It just feels like anytime he shoots the ball well, the floor opens up for all of them. You know, protect the lane. This is to counter what we mentioned earlier about Alab Pilipinas in terms of how they have controlled the paint, especially the last few games. So interior defense going to be key for them. Execute down the stretch, specifically in the last game against Singapore, wherein they just gave up basket after basket. Stops is going to be important, especially in clutch moments.
Now let's take a look at the starters for both squads. This is the five for head coach Jimmy Alapag, Jason Brickman, Jeremiah Gray, the Saminator, Sam Deguara, Khalif Wyatt, and Nick King. So unlike in the first meeting, Khalif Wyatt will not be coming off the bench. And also unlike the first meeting, Sam Deguara will be in action for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
What a difference when you have a big guy like Sam Deguara came in to this team in the third game, wherein they already won a game already prior to that. Obviously right now on the verge of their fifth game winning streak. What you like about Sam is it's not only about his height, it's really his footwork and his intelligence to the game. If he could just be consistently get out of foul trouble, which I thought he was a lot was in the last season. If he could improve that number right there of playing without fouling, this should be good for Alab Pilipinas.
Now the starters for Coach Todd Purvis, we have Steven Thomas, Julian Boyd, Boogie Ewing, Doug Herring, and of course who played 15 minutes and scored 6 points in the loss to the Singapore Slingers. But as you mentioned, the biggest difference is the 7'6" Sam Deguara, the biggest player in the ASEAN Basketball League, and he will be jumping it up against Julian Boyd. We are officially underway. Boyd wins the tip, believe it or not, and it will be Wolf Warriors basketball to begin this matchup. Boyd attacking like a runaway train right away. Thomas grabs the rebound and is fouled as he went up for the putback.
And you like the mindset of Boyd. Had a free lane to the bucket as Sam Deguara was guarding him. That's how you beat Sam, you know, off of dribble penetration, which Boyd has. But even though he missed the layup, he got Deguara up in the air that opened up the offensive rebound for Thomas and potentially the first points rather of this game, but he misses the first.
Now, of course, Stephen Thomas named one of the 10 greatest players in ABL history right before the start of this season. 2012 Defensive Player of the Year, as I mentioned earlier, 2-time ABL champion. Sorry, I have to remind you about that.
I know. That's a nightmare.
But he's a legend. Still going at it despite playing in his late 30s, 38 to be exact. And Coach Todd Purvis said it was not hard to get Stephen Thomas out of retirement to play for the Macau Wolf Warriors.
Oh, very familiar, obviously, is Todd Purvis, as he had one of his world imports in Stephen Thomas. Let's not forget, they had a superhero, quote-unquote superhero, named Super Stanley Pringle during that time, who was really playing out of his mind. To me, that was the best year in terms of Stanley Pringle playing basketball. Even right now when he's playing here in Philippine soil, the bounce on his step in that year was ridiculous.
Well, the player who has been playing out of his mind is Doug Herring, who won the championship last year playing for Indonesia, playing with Maxi Esho. Meanwhile, Nick King is able to get the first field goal for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
How about the smarts of Brickman? We talked about this. Had an open shot, but you see the patience, was able to draw two defenders and make a nifty pocket pass for an open King.
Boyd grabbing the miss, puts it up and in. Now this is a player who wants to bounce back after scoring just 9 points in the loss against Singapore. I'm talking about Julian Boyd.
After playing so well in that win prior to that game against the Black Bears, again, when Stephen Thomas fouled out in the third, he stepped up in the last quarter, a guy who can take you inside, outside, can run the floor, and can give you a little bit of those chase down blocks as well for a guy who's had, I believe, 3 knee surgeries. For him to come back like this, must be thrilled.
He's definitely a warrior. Now, since this is the first home game for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas for 2020, Franny Reyes was able to speak with Coach Jimmy Alapag. Here's what Coach Jimmy had to say.
Well, and Don and Christian, the last time these two teams played against each other, it was a tough match that headed into overtime. Ultimately, San Miguel Alab Pilipinas won, and Coach Jimmy Alapag told me that he's expecting the Macau Wolf Warriors to go just as hard again today. He also told me that it's important that they protect home, and he trusts that this new team will do just that as they continue to strengthen their chemistry and camaraderie. So expect a great game, great basketball as San Miguel Alab Pilipinas goes all out to claim their 5th straight win this season. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Franny. Meanwhile, who
4
is
point
able
swing
to score on the fast break? First field goal of the contest. Nick King stepping back, shoots a 3. Too strong, battle for the loose ball. It is picked up by Doug Herring, who is running. Herring with a crossover. Doug Herring, and that's what he does.
Now, how about the block out by Stephen Thomas, canceling out Deguara for the potential offensive glass and sticking to him while the others were running the floor, eliminating the shot block on the other end as the Wolf Warriors force a turnover. Little bit of a run right here.
Now let's take a look at ABL champion Doug Herring zigzagging his way through traffic for the lay-in. number 2 scorer in the ABL, Christian.
Something that you certainly need, especially in Philippine soil, the way to navigate through traffic here in San Juan.
Now, my apologies. Number 3 in scoring, Doug Herring, 23.8 points per game. Number 2 in assists, 8.8. And number 1, of course, is his counterpart on the other side, Jason Brickman, who's averaging 9.8 assists per contest, leading the ABL. Inside pass to the Saminator, Deguara.
Great defense.
Look at that. The legend, Stephen Thomas, like a brick wall. And now he wants to post up Sam. Boyd shoots it from the outside. Julian Boyd knocks it down. And Julian Boyd has 8 points already, including 2 triples.
Gotta love the energy that Stephen Thomas is showing on the defensive end. Also the energy that Boyd is showing to bounce back offensively on the offensive end.
Herring with a rebound. Gets it to who? Spins. Misses. Deguara snatches the ball through the air. Brickman is running. Gives it up to Gray. Nick King spins baseline. Blocked by Boyd. It is Wolf Warriors basketball. Boogie Ewing steps on the brakes. Boyd decides to attack. Julian Boyd. That's good defense by Nick King.
Yeah, taking away the angle for the layup to use the glass.
Gray to Brickman. Wide open for 3. Jason Brickman.
We'll give the hockey assist to Nicholas King. Extra pass coming from another teammate, but King making that happen.
Herring able to draw the foul. Just a cerebral type of a point guard with an attack mentality. Doug Herring. That's why the matchup between him and Brickman is very intriguing.
Right. This was the play by King right here. That's what you like about the sidestep move. You not only use it to finish at the rim, but to create an angle for the pass, as what we saw in King. Gray right there with the extra pass. Brickman knocks it down.
Team captain Lawrence Domingo has now checked into the game for the home team, as you saw Todd Purvis. He's very familiar with the country, very familiar with the coach on the other side, Jimmy Alapag, as he coached against Jimmy when he was a player in the PBA.
Right. Obviously a former consultant, I believe, of back then, the Petron team of the San Miguel team in the Pro League. Certainly familiar, as you mentioned, here in the Philippines.
Herring already with 4 points in the game. Wyatt. Gray looking for Domingo, who spins baseline. And Julian Boyd, just rock solid defense. This is one of the more fearsome front lines that we have in the ABL. You've got Thomas, Boyd, and who?
So a turnover to start the game. Lawrence Domingo coming off the bench had 10 points in the last game in 18 minutes on 71% shooting.
Brickman gives it back to King. And King wanting a foul as he was bumped from behind by Thomas.
And I believe he did get fouled. That forced the turnover right there for the errant pass.
We have a timeout. Wolf Warriors lead Alab Pilipinas 15-7. Well, ever since he arrived and put on that San Miguel Alab Pilipinas jersey, the Saminator has been terrorizing opposition. Much like he has been doing against Alab Pilipinas the past 2 seasons, remember?
Right.
Sam Deguara played for Hong Kong last year and
Mono
2 seasons
Vampire,
ago against San Miguel in the finals.
Right.
For Mono Vampire, you're right.
20 points, 9 boards in the last game on 13 shots. And again, it takes more than height to play basketball. Now, obviously, that's what stands out for the biggest guy in the league. But his intelligence, his footwork, really got to be impressive, especially how he runs the floor for his size.
And he did that in just 22 minutes of action, Christian.
Right.
Meanwhile, Julian Boyd getting busy with 10 points already in the game. Brickman throws it back out to Khalif Wyatt. Steps back for 3. Wyatt in and out. And Julian Boyd grabs the rebound. Now let's take a look at this powerful move earlier by Julian Boyd. A lot of muscle in that matchup.
Right. And Lawrence Domingo might give up quite a few inches against Boyd, but he's a tough guy to score against, as we all know. He's a glue guy, he's a defender, but anytime an offensive player has that deep position on the post, it just puts the defense in a vulnerable position. Really the toughest position to guard, spot to guard on the floor.
CC is now in the game. That's his nickname, Sai Chen, number 23.
A guy who can shoot the ball from the outside, loves to go to his left hand.
Domingo throws it out. King short on the triple try, and the Wolf Warriors step out of bounds. Now let's take a look at this move by the big man. And CC is able to score on that sweeping hook.
It's actually good defense, just better offense on Tai.
Jordan heading. Shentu is on him. Heading. Threading the needle on that pass, and Domingo will head to the line for 2.
Might be undersized for his position, but a guy who really plays at the rim. A guy who can attack the basket off the pick and roll. This one dribble right here, and was fearless of attacking the defense of Boyd, and that's what you have to do against a world import in Boyd. Coming at you, got to force the foul and maybe eventually force another one to force Coach Todd Purvis to put his player on the bench.
Now Lawrence Domingo has been very productive for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. 10 points in 18 minutes, 5 of 7 from the field in the win against the Dreamers. And look at Julian Boyd wanting to get the ball back in the post against Domingo. Ewing throws it out. Shentu on the drive. Boyd attacking the paint. Pure power on that move. Just unable to put it down.
You gotta love the patience that Boyd is showing. Lawrence Domingo was right there, but because of his attack to the middle and that extra step that he had to close out to take away the middle in Lawrence Domingo, he spun right back to his left shoulder, and a white shirt was forced to foul for these 2 freebies.
Now, interesting side story here. Julian Boyd was actually teammates with Jason Brickman for 3 years at Long Island University. So he says Jason's his boy, and this is officially the 2nd time that they're playing against each other since they played together at Long Island. And here he is, Jason Brickman, giving it to Wyatt. Wyatt, 13 on the shot clock, and this is what Khalif Wyatt does. When he has the basketball, he is a pure threat and stops the clock with moves like this.
Well, he got a smaller guy right here on the switch, and anytime you have a tang smaller than you, Wyatt, as you mentioned, recognizes that he can shoot over the defender, and that's what he did right there. 2+1 coming up.
17 points in the win against the Dreamers, including the game winner, with 27 seconds left. But right now, Alab Pilipinas is down 12-21. Doug Herring for 3. Shot was to the left, and the ball will go back to San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
Something that what looks to be Alab is trying to force him to do, even though they had space to go over the screen, still opted under. That's why Herring had an open shot. Let's see if he continues to do so to force Herring to beat them from the outside.
Brickman inside pass to Domingo, and that's a foul on Julian Boyd.
Just has a good feel for the game, both players in Brickman and Domingo. Brickman obviously with his passing ability, Domingo of getting to those open spots in tight situations.
Stephen Thomas returns after a brief rest. He is the #1 rebounder in ABL history, and I'm really amazed at how he is still doing what he has been doing all throughout his basketball career at his age. #2 in rebounding, averaging 13.6 boards per contest.
That speaks a lot, first about his body, second about his leadership. Anytime you could come in and play the longevity that Stephen Thomas has, really top 10 player, what's more to say about him, right? A champion.
And he was retired. He was retired for a year.
Right.
Before Coach Todd called him.
Talk about belief.
CC could not hold on to the basketball, and it will go back to Alab Pilipinas, the home team. And let's take a look at this drive, Christian, by Jordan Heading, leading to this floater by Jason Brickman.
Now that's one way to score the basketball. Little drive and kick action, right to left, and going the other way. Brickman with a nice floater. Domingo inside, doesn't make a basket.
Shentu. CC on the drive. And Sai Chen doing damage here in the first quarter for the Wolf Warriors.
He just plays at his own pace. His first basket was the drive to his left. This time shows that he has the ability to go to the other side and finishes also.
Tang grabs the rebound after the miss by Heading. Herring to Shentu, back to Herring. Herring gets it back, swings it to the left wing. Nothing there for Tang, and Wyatt and Thomas entangled there during that battle for the loose ball. Canuelas Rosser soaring for the basket.
A change of defense the last 3 possessions for Alab, working for them, getting all 3 stops. The last one leading into a layup.
CC, inside pass to Thomas.
Another stop. That zone has made a difference so far in this game, for this game to come closer with this basket right here. Lead is down to 6 points.
Now here's another player who played solid minutes for Alab Pilipinas in Taiwan. Louis Vigil, 9 points in 22 minutes, 4 out of 7 from the field.
Did most of his damage in that third quarter, wherein they had a huge 28-18 third quarter. What a pass! And Domingo finishes on the other side.
And Domingo now has 5 points, and that was his first field goal of the game. Herring changed his mind, throws it out to Tang, in and out. Canuelas Rosser with the board.
A shot you can live with instead of the imports taking a shot. That time Tang, but a counter steal though.
Herring to Shentu.
Nice.
CC with a finish.
Textbook 3-on-1 fast break right there, baiting the last defender and then dropping it off for the wide open layup.
Wyatt gives the ball up. Canuelas Rosser with a miss. And that will do it for the first quarter of play. The Macau Wolf Warriors making an early statement, leading the home team San Miguel Alab Pilipinas 25-19. But not before these highlights happened. Nick King trying to get going early, but Julian Boyd already with 12 big points for the Wolf Warriors.
And those 12 big points, pretty much half of their 25, set the tone really for them. Really trying to bounce back for his poor offensive performance in the last game.
You're watching Season 10 of the ABL. We'll be back for the second quarter right here on SNA. There is Justin Brownlee, a champion, a walking champion, and of course a guy that you know
There
very
he
well.
is. Yeah, a guy that we were just talking about. Super Stanley. Well, he still is close to that.
You like him?
Oh, love his game.
Of course, my partner here.
If my memory serves me right, he was not an import in 2011 for.
But played like one.
He certainly played like one. It's really an understatement. He played like a superhero for his team. The way he scored the basketball and just the way he carried that team against, against us, who had Chris Manchero. We had Duke Cruz at that time, Nick Fazekas, a former NBA import. But Stanley Pringle, oh, he was something else.
Hey, your team's not too bad.
Yeah, but the following year, we got it though. We had a guy named Asitong Lava, who won the MVP in that year. Chris Manchero came back. Leo Avenido, who's part of the top 10 in ABL history, I believe. Top 10 players.
Sam Deguara is back on the floor for the home team, as is Jordan Heading. Now this is a crucial stage of the contest, as Wyatt and Brickman are on the bench right now. And let's see if they can establish Deguara, talking about San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, as Boogie Ewing hits the three. Now, I was talking to him earlier, and what they asked of him was his shooting. They said they needed a shooter, and that's what he is providing.
And that's what he can provide. Really has that awkward-looking shot coming from Ewing as a turnover from San Deguara. You see him pause a little bit for a split second, especially from the chin going up to his head. But once that ball is up in the air, a guy who can knock down the shot.
And Boogie Ewing, born in Hong Kong. So he's not playing as an import, Christian.
Right.
As we see this triple by Tang, so that's back-to-back threes to open the second quarter for the Wolf Warriors.
Now proving us wrong. We mentioned earlier a shot that San Miguel Alab can live with. I still believe so, but that time knocks it down with the open shot. Domingo operates inside from the high post.
Domingo plays with a lot of power, able to draw the foul on that opportunity. Lawrence Domingo actually leading San Miguel Alab Pilipinas along with Brickman with 5 points apiece, as Doug Herring returns as expected.
I gotta love the answer that the Wolf Warriors has been showing. Always tough to come in away from your home here in the Philippines, obviously, and to counter runs, as you see Coach Charlie D.
And Josh Toralba,
team owner, team manager, rather, of San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
10-point lead for the Wolf Warriors. Oh, it seems to be plaguing San Miguel Alab Pilipinas so far, partner.
Well, that zone has been working for them. That's why they were able to come back. But again, Wolf Warriors answering right back, moving the basketball, and this guy knocking down shots. One way to counter the zone, aside from offensive rebounding, is to knock down outside shots. Ewing with back-to-back baskets.
So Boogie Ewing living up to his calling card, which is shooting, as Ganuelas Rosser powers his way up for the basket. Ewing, Boyd stepping back, gives it back to Boogie.
Change of defense that time. Matchup right now is San Miguel getting away from that zone.
Herring asking for a screen. Herring pulls up. Shot was short. Nick King picks up the loose ball. Here's Jason Brickman, back to Nick King. King, back to Brickman, shoots a three. Jason Brickman, too strong on that shot. The Wolf Warriors got lucky. Jason doesn't miss a lot of those open threes. Thomas from the free throw line, no good.
A lot of contact underneath between Vigil and Herring. This will go against Alab.
And a chance for us to go back to Franny Reyes for this courtside update.
Earlier, I got to speak with Coach Todd about the Macau Wolf Warriors, and he pointed out that they are coming off almost 2 weeks of rest. However, Doug Herring did tell me that they still managed to get some work in, and as we saw from that first quarter, they came out very hyped and very much ready to play. So let's see if the team in green can sustain that energy and their lead to finish today's match on a high note. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Franny. It was December 22, the last time the Wolf Warriors saw action in the ABL. So yeah, we can definitely see that. The Wolf Warriors coming in here very hyped, as is Nick King, who converts after scoring the first field goal of the game for the home team.
Well, Franny mentioned about sustaining, and one thing that I think is going to be key for the Wolf Warriors to get a win out here, as you see the strong drive by King. Boyd not wanting to pick up a personal foul, just puts his hands up and eventually gets out of the way, is Stephen Thomas. Can he sustain his play against Sam Deguara? Sam Deguara right now, almost 8 minutes of play, 2 points, 4 boards, and a lot of tough defense against the biggest guy in the league. If he could sustain, especially in the second half, this puts his team in a very good position and a good chance, really, to pull out a win here in Philippine soil.
Definitely a mammoth matchup between the legend Thomas and, of course, the Saminator Sam Deguara. Nick King, though, his versatility, that's what he brings to this Alab Pilipinas squad, and that's why it makes things tough for the likes of Julian Boyd to stay in front of him, because of the shiftiness of Nick King.
Especially as a left-hander. I mean, imagine a world without left-handed people. Right? It's the Manu Ginobili's,
the James Hardens.
The James Hardens, you know, aside from, you know, being scorers as they are, it's just tough to guard left-handed, skilled players like a Nicholas King.
And did you see that collision between your good friend Thomas and Deguara?
Right. It was like a Street Fighter game with
look
those.
Look at this.
You know that aura that comes out in the video games? It felt like there was something out of those two when they bumped each other.
6'9" Stephen Thomas against the 7'6" Sam Deguara. And look at the intensity in the eyes of Thomas as he knocks in the second free throw. King. And this is the versatility we were talking about. Gray loses control of the basketball, and that's a foul on him as he tried to pick up Doug Herring.
I thought King had a good chance either for a mini pull-up or maybe finish on the left side. You see Herring didn't even bother to help. That's why he was able to get the turnover as Alab white shirt lost the basketball.
Herring with Gray on him. Herring with a crossover. Nice. Herring stops, pops, does not drop. Deguara comes up with the board. Here's Brickman. Brickman steps on the brakes, throws it to King. King fakes the pass. King now backing down Boyd. Gray threads the needle. King from the elbow. Nick King. 7 points in the game for King.
So making something out of nothing, really, Alab Pilipinas, as they went into their primary offense. Not too good of a spacing.
Look at that! Doug Herring showing us the chemistry between him and Julian Boyd, connecting on that alley-oop.
A beautiful back screen that time. I believe that was Ewing who made the pass, or made the back pick rather, but King with a nifty drive finishes with a strong hand.
But San Miguel Alab Pilipinas with a response. Boyd gives it to Thomas. De Guara giving him a lot of space, daring him to shoot. And the gamble paid off. Brickman. King being dared to shoot the three. Nick King breaks into double digits. He now has 12.
A nice pass by Brickman, and a big part of why Nick King was open was because of the dive by Sam De Guara. Anytime you have a big guy like that diving to the basket, this was you see the back screen right there by Ewing, a little shrug on the screen. Boyd right there showing the elevation despite 3 knee surgeries. Wow. Talk about resiliency.
He did tell me before this game that his idol is Blake Griffin, along with LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard. So we can see where he has patterned his game after. And the inside-outside game, because Blake started as a high flyer but now has evolved into an outside shooter as well. Meanwhile, Boogie Ewing making an impact here for the Wolf Warriors.
Completely the opposite of what we know as the more famous NBA legend, Patrick Ewing, who was a center. This one's a point guard who can shoot the basketball in Boogie Ewing. Love the first name.
Yeah, he's actually Scott, but he told me, call me Boogie. Everybody calls me Boogie. I asked him if he was related to Patrick, of course, just to make sure, and he told me if I was related to him, I wouldn't be this short.
He's absolutely right.
And Boogie is dancing here in the Philippines, draining that jumper. Now, when you have a name like that, I mean, you gotta wonder.
Of course.
His dad is from the States, his mom is from Africa, but when they were working in Hong Kong, Boogie was born there. He played in the Hong Kong Basketball Association for 6 years, was one of the best shooters there, and when the Wolf Warriors needed a shooter, they gave him a call, and he answered.
This is what you like about the league. Obviously we cover so much ground around Asia. It used to be only Southeast Asia during our time. You talk about right now having Hong Kong, Taiwan, obviously, and China, 2 China teams. Props, obviously, to our boss, syempre, si Jericho Ilagan.
The entire team, his brother Jensen as well.
Right. For what do you call this?
The growth.
The growth, yeah, the growth of this league.
CC with the offensive rebound, and that's a foul. The fans don't like it. Well, I guess this is one of the things that all teams will have to struggle with after dealing with a long break.
Right, especially if it's a Christmas break.
It's one thing to be able to practice, but to play in the actual game, I'm sure you know this, it might take a while to get the rhythm back.
But these are professional teams, so coached by experienced and professional coaches, and Coach Todd Purvis and Jimmy Alapag. So I'm 100% sure they did all the necessary things to prepare their players for the first game this year.
And San Miguel Alab Pilipinas calls a timeout. They are down by 6.
Yeah, maganda nilalaro nila.
The rise to greatness continues here in the Philippines, and these are the guys who are entering enemy territory to try to make some noise. And I'm sure Julian has forgotten this forgettable performance against Singapore, as has Boogie Ewing, because Ewing now has 8 points and Boyd has 14.
6 for 29 combined, a game where Singapore was pretty much in control the whole ball game, and yet they were still in it. And you see the big difference those two make in this game. A total of 40 points already for the Wolf Warriors, and those two has 22 of the 40 already. Boyd having 14 on 8 shots and 62% shooting. Boogie, 8 points already on 75% shooting, only on 4 shots. So even though a guy like Herring, who's averaging almost 24 points per game, is struggling so far with only 4 points on 25%. Anytime you have those two step up, it's big time for the Wolf Warriors.
Wyatt, he's got to step up right now for the home team. Short on that shot, Khalif Wyatt has not scored here in the second quarter. Scored just 3 points in the first. So they are missing the production from Khalif. Thomas hands it off to Ewing. Shot was to the left. King comes up with a board, gives it up to Brickman. Brickman steps on the brakes, cross-court pass. Wyatt to Gray, launches a 3. Too strong. Nick King with a rebound. Short on the putback attempt, and Boogie Ewing tracks down the rebound. CC on the run, spins, runs into a wall named Sam DeGuara, and Ewing trying to chase King. Ball was loose, picked up by the Wolf Warriors. Herring, look at the fluidity of this game. Wyatt intercepts the pass. Nick King, look out below, His Majesty. Nick King throws it down here at home.
Little back and forth action, turnover, finally forced by Alab on Herring, and gets an easy 2 on a flush by King. But Tidal, or CZ as you call him, knocks it down. We mentioned this earlier, he can knock it down from the outside, even at that center position.
His first triple of the game, Sai Chen. Wyatt.
That's contact, definitely. Late call, but the right one, as a foul was called on Ewing.
And look at this pass by Khalif Wyatt. After the interception on that pass by Herring, leading up to this dunk by Nick King.
And how about the business decision? Being smart right there was Tang, getting out of the way.
You know, our ABL social media.
I used to do that a lot, by the way.
They be putting up the highlights on the ABL Instagram.
And I want to make it clear, the getting away part was what I was used to do a lot, not the dunking part. The dunking was only in my dreams.
Come on.
It was, actually.
I've seen a couple.
Especially against imports, against Stephen Thomas, right? So better get out of the way, just give the dunk, and just get it back on the other end.
43-38 is our tally. We were talking about how Khalif Wyatt has to get going for Alab Pilipinas. He now has 5. Make that 6 after the free throw. Shentu returns for the Wolf Warriors, coming in for Boogie.
A little pressure in the backcourt. Semi-pressure by the white shirts. Only a 4-point game.
It's been a tightly contested contest and a highly entertaining one, as we expected. CC too strong on the 3. The ball is loose, and it will stay with the Wolf Warriors. A minute and 42 to go here in the first half. CC off the glass, heading, comes up with a board. Domingo, plus the foul. Another great find by Khalif Wyatt. The vision of Khalif Wyatt on full display here in this game.
Stop on the other end, and anytime you have a Lawrence Domingo who's a rim runner heading towards the other end, all you have to do is make a lead pass, just like what
Khalif Wyatt
did. Domingo unable though to complete the three-point play. That's a foul.
Doug Herring, one of the toughest guys to stay in front of here in the ASEAN Basketball League, giving Heading a headache and had nothing else to do but to put him to the line.
They're putting us in a tongue twister moment, these two. Herring versus Heading.
Doug Herring, he's very proud of what he has achieved so far playing in the ABL. When he joined Indonesia last year, they were in 8th place. And for him to join that team and lead them to a championship, that's one of his most proudest achievements in his basketball career.
Just remarkable, and I owe him an apology as I forgot about that in the pregame as I told him that he was just emerging. So my apologies to Mr. Herring and the Herring family, and right on cue, he shows why he's a champion in this league.
8 points in the game for Doug Herring and his first triple for the Wolf Warriors tonight against Alab Pilipinas. Wyatt to King on the spin.
That's a foul.
King grabs his own miss. King amongst the trees. King likes it when he works for it. Herring steps on the brakes, shoots a three, too strong. And a steal here by Tang.
That's what he can provide. Energy on both ends, on the defensive end, and can battle for loose balls for those extra possessions is Tang.
Now, we've seen Doug Herring do this a lot last season in the ABL. Just hold on to the basketball and make his move. Doug Herring could not get it to fall.
That's a poor foul. That's because the Wolf Warriors are over the limit. It's a foul from 95 feet, which means a white shirt in Nicholas King is gonna walk 95 feet as you see the move right here. Once again, nice move for the finish was King, or Wyatt rather. Will head to the line and will have a chance to tie this game up heading into halftime possibly, although there's 3 seconds remaining.
Now, this has got to be the most quiet 8 points, possibly 10 after these two free throws for Khalif Wyatt. And I say that because of the importance of the shots that he has made this season for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
Especially for a guy who averages about 18 points per game now. He's still in pace for that as he scores his 10th point to tie the ball game.
Herring still has time. Herring launches. Too strong. And after leading by as many as 13 in the first half, San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, the home team, able to tie things up at 47.
After a slow start, giving up 25 points in the first quarter and being down by 6, San Miguel Alab Pilipinas limits the Wolf Warriors to 3 points less, that's 22, and to score more, 26 points in the second quarter to tie this ball game up.
And it's because of plays like this, energizing the crowd. One of the big reasons why San Miguel Alab Pilipinas has stormed back from a 13-point deficit despite the 8 points of Doug Herring. 47 all is our tally at the end of the first half. You're watching Season 10 of the ASEAN Basketball League. All things, the preparation, coverages, pick and rolls, finishing at the rim. These are things that led the CLS Knights to the championship last year, and that's those are the type of things that the Wolf Warriors have to do.
No question about it. I think they put themselves in a great position to steal one away against Alab Pilipinas and possibly hand them their first loss. And I say that because, number one, of the three-point shooting of Alab Pilipinas. We're going to see it in a little while, but they were only 2 of 12 for only 17%. Why? Because in the last 4 games, which Alab has been in a 4-game winning streak, this team has averaged 12 of 27 for 44% from downtown. So a big weapon, it's no secret, a big weapon to their success in the last 4 games is the three-point shooting, and they have certainly done so in that regard, talking about the defense of the Wolf Warriors, not allowing Alab to hit those outside shots.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights here, including the best one, in my opinion, on the side of the Wolf Warriors. This was the best one for Alab Pilipinas. Julian Boyd and Nick King. Doug Herring, of course, doing what he does, doing some damage from the inside and the outside, making for an explosive first half between the Wolf Warriors and Alab Pilipinas.
Well, you see the three-point shooting right there, +5 in terms of makes for the Wolf Warriors, and yet we have a tie ball game, and it was pretty much negated by the free throws that they allowed to Alab Pilipinas. +7 in terms of attempts, +7 in terms of makes, 15 of 19, 8 of 12. Rebounding, I think, also is going to be a key, because in the Alab wins, in 3 of the 4 Alab wins, Alab has controlled the boards. +1 in the first win, +4 in the second win, +14 in the third win, and was -4 in the last win, that 1-point win which they escaped in Taiwan against the Dreamers. So if the Wolf Warriors can manage to be in step on the board, especially against Big Sam, who has pretty much been a non-factor in this game, they have a really good chance to steal this one tonight.
All right, when we come back, we shall begin the second half of this matchup between the Macau Wolf Warriors and San Miguel Alab Pilipinas as we continue our rise to greatness in Season 10 of the ASEAN Basketball League. It is the year 2020. Fresh start. And this is what lies ahead for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
January 7 here in the next 2 days against Taipei, and in Singapore 5 days after against the Slingers, and we'll go to Hong Kong after 11 days, and then just after a couple days, back-to-back games with 4 days apart against Mono Vampire.
And take note, the game on Tuesday will take place at 4 p.m. Usually, the Alab home games take place at this time, 7:30. But I'd like to remind everybody, it's a weekday. So that game against OJ Mayo and the Taipei Fubon Braves will take place at 4. And we are ready for the third quarter of this matchup between Alab Pilipinas and the Macau Wolf Warriors. Glad to have you with us. Anton Ross together with former ABL champion Christian Luanzon. And we also have Franny Reyes at courtside.
Thank you, sir.
Brickman. King. Passing it to Gray. Gray, one dribble pull up, and Jeremiah Gray gets his first field goal of the contest.
That's only the third mid-range shot of Alab Pilipinas in the last 2 games. They had 2 mid-range jumpers in Taiwan. That's the first one, I believe, in this game.
Boyd. And that's a foul on King as he tried to stay in front of Julian.
And I say that because, as you know, in this era, it's been really a style of play of layups or threes, kind of like similar to the Houston Rockets. So that mid-range has been pretty much a lost art already, but still an effective weapon if you use it properly.
And this is also the first lead for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas since the first quarter. Since the start of the game, actually.
You're right.
Since that Nick King basket. And Nick King has the basketball. With 4 seconds on the shot clock, King falls down. Wow. Who pulling the chair from under him. So it will be Wolf Warriors basketball.
This one right there, you see him moving his, it's not even his lower hip. It was more of his stomach trying to lose contact. That's why King lost his balance.
Ewing. Brickman able to recover. Who throws it out to Boyd. 5 on the shot clock. Julian Boyd in and out. Brickman looking for Nick King. And Boogie Ewing able to pick up the loose ball. Doug Herring gives it back to Boogie. Boogie fakes, fires, and connects. Nothing but sweet string music on that shot by Boogie Ewing.
Power of the pump fake, as I believe that's his 3rd 3 of the ball game. As you see, King operates inside, finishes with his strong hand.
Nick King with 19 points in the game, leading the way for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, leading all scorers in scoring as we take a look at this shot by Boogie Ewing.
Or that pump fake really can do you wonders, especially for the kids watching at home. You master that move, you can do a lot of things with that pump fake.
Let's go now to Franny Reyes.
It was a slow start for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, but they managed to tie the game at the end of that first half. They improved their communication defensively, and as we continue the second half, we can expect their execution and offense to improve as they continue to find their groove. Expect players like King and Wyatt to continue to produce, as well as other players to contribute. Now, they knew today wasn't going to be easy, so let's see if they can take the lead and defend home base like Coach Jimmy wants them to do. Anton and Christian?
Well, Franny, they have been perfect so far at home as we take a look at the Seminator. Sam Teguara finally getting his first field goal of the contest.
4 points for him. His first 2 were, he got that from the line, and that's a bad sign. And if you're the Wolf Warriors, Sam Teguara getting his first field goal here. Did he even jump?
Sometimes I think he just tiptoes.
Looks like he did.
Teguara, 7'6", tallest man in the ABL, as Doug Herring converts on the first free throw. Rosser and Heading looking on. 2 for 2 on that trip to the line for Doug Herring. Wolf Warriors reclaim the lead, 54-53. Brickman, cross-court pass. Wyatt, inside pass to Domingo, and Lawrence Domingo is able to score underneath. He has 11 points in the game.
Just checked in for the foul trouble player in Sam Teguara, who is saddled with 3 fouls. No problem for Domingo, who really operates around the basket nicely.
Ooh, offensive rebound and putback. Wyatt. Creating some space, gives it up to Jeremiah Gray.
A little miscommunication on the ball screen defense that time. Squeezing on the ball screen was Thomas. Anytime that screener is squeezed, you gotta go under. Herring goes over. The weak side defender was forced to help. Good pass to Gray. Gray knocks it down.
Once upon a time, as we take a look at this move by Khalif Wyatt.
Nice pass.
Finding Lawrence Domingo underneath. And Jeremiah Gray, this was that other play knocking it down from the corner.
What a pass that was, wrapping it around the defender using the bounce to pass that one to Domingo. That's a foul on Domingo on Thomas, and he's going to be called for a technical. And he approaches Coach Jimmy Alapag immediately. Jimmy says, settle down, you got this. Because he's been playing so well, especially after a rough start with a couple turnovers to start the game, but has really scored the basketball really well coming off the bench is Lawrence Domingo in double figures with 11 points.
And you can't feel bad if you're overpowered by a guy who's not even in your weight class. I mean, Thomas is like a heavyweight, while Domingo is a light heavyweight. Thomas is able to can the second free throw. He's got 4 points.
And he's into the crowd a little bit, specifically, I believe, with one of the either girlfriends or wives of an Alab player. That's why he gives them the shrug.
Wyatt over Herring. Boyd comes up with a board. Herring knocks it down. Doug Herring with his second triple of the game.
That's a walk-in three. We mentioned this earlier. Alab trying to force Herring to beat them from the jump shot. Proves otherwise.
Heading on the sidestep, bounce pass. Nick King over Thomas.
It's been the same thing for Nick King. He's had a lot of those open jumpers from downtown, and that is his second three on 4 attempts already.
Basket is good for who? It's been a shootout here in the third between the Wolf Warriors and Alab Pilipinas.
Both teams getting into a terrific offensive flow to start the quarter. Open shot once again, using the glass that time is King.
And King is also in a verbal battle, engaging with Thomas. Herring.
Legal screen though.
Offensive foul as Boyd created some space for Doug. But this is what Doug Herring does. He likes to slow down the game, and once he sees an opening, he lets it fly.
Really plays and looks like a lot of Spencer Dinwiddie of the Brooklyn Nets. A big guard who can shoot from the outside as Heading misses a three. But you see the resemblance between him and Dinwiddie.
I was thinking Gilbert Arenas prior to the injury.
Although Arenas was mega explosive back in the day. Compared to Dinwiddie though, he might be giving up maybe 3 inches. Dinwiddie, I believe, is about 6'6".
We'll be back. The Wolf Warriors lead Alab Pilipinas 65-63. Well, we showed you the upcoming game for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas. These are the teams that will be waiting for the Wolf Warriors.
2 games against the Dreamers right there with only a separation of 2 games. And they go into China back at their home floor against the Braves. And then we'll play again the next 2 games in China, or sorry, the last 4 games rather, will be played in their home turf against all of those teams.
Stephen Thomas, as we were explaining earlier, not only engaged in a physical battle, but in a verbal battle along with Nick King, because these two guys obviously play differently. Thomas is that classic old school banger, while Nick King can put the ball on the floor, shoot from the outside. They've been going at it.
Right. If you remember back in the day, it's like watching, I'm not so sure if our viewers will kind of relate to this. It's like watching Rodman versus Rodney Rogers, the lefty. And he was a pretty good player. Former Denver Nugget back in the day.
And he could shoot.
He could really shoot. Yeah.
Wolf Warriors lead Alab Pilipinas 66-63. Ganuelas Rosser back in the game. Earlier you saw AA Aaron Aban and former De La Salle University team captain Andre Karakut. Those two have yet to see action tonight. Herring to Thomas. Thomas creating some space. And he gets the lucky bounce. Stephen Thomas.
Saying probably to Ganuelas Rosser, chicken barbecue.
Well, that's how they would say it in the Philippines. Because back in the States, it's barbecue chicken. Meanwhile,
because we're in the Philippines. Actually, it's probably better if it's sisig.
I wonder if he's even tried that. Meanwhile, Herring trying an acrobatic layup, unable to finish. Wyatt to Brickman to King underneath.
This is what we talked about earlier. The energy that Stephen Thomas can sustain all throughout this game. At that time, Alab getting the stop. Thomas nowhere to be found, running towards the other end.
And partner, this is a career high in the ABL for Nick King, 29 points. Nick King has led Alab Pilipinas in scoring twice, and that was in the loss against Mono Vampire and the win against Mono Vampire. But this right here, 29 points for Nick King.
He gets an easy one inside as Boyd was forced to close out. Now, what could have been a transition three in a dead shot in Brickman, but Brickman, as we all know, a smart passer. The King right there to finish.
Thomas with 7 points in the contest. And really, we are just amazed at the body of work that he has put up throughout his career, especially here in the ASEAN Basketball League. And the things that he continues to do at his age. Now let's take a look at this drive by Jason Brickman. And clearly that's a foul on Shentu. Stephen Thomas returns to the bench, getting a high five from his longtime mentor, Coach Todd Purvis, who was his coach when they won the championship back in 2012. CC on the drive, too strong, ball is loose, picked up by Tang. Herring accelerates, Herring, everything but the shot. And Tang chases down the loose ball. And look at the speed of Tang. CC thought about the three, puts the ball on deck.
Nice.
Julian Boyd with the rim rattler.
Just never rattled and always in control is CC. Could have had a shot right there, but shows the up fake, gets a man up in the air. And it took about probably 10 seconds for him to make that pass, but Brickman gets it right back on the other end.
One of the most intelligent players in the ABL, Jason Brickman.
Without question, except for that defensive possession. Don't you just love it? When it's right on cue.
And let's take a look at this pass right here. CC putting the ball on the floor, and Julian Boyd slamming it down with 2 hands.
He just plays at his own pace. All the drives, the makes by CC that time, the drive in the dish. He plays in his own pace as Deguara checks back in with 3 personal fouls. Tang misses the first one.
This is probably the only game so far where we've seen Deguara in an Alab Pilipinas uniform struggle to get points, because the last time we saw him in action, he was such a huge problem, literally and figuratively, for the Formosa Dreamers.
But then again, one thing that we talked about earlier is one thing to get him out of the game, which is mostly his own fault, is his foul trouble. And we've seen this a lot of times already in the past 2 seasons. And that's one thing that he has to cure, so to speak, in his game. Staying on the floor, basically, for Big Sam. That's a foul.
And I forgot one more thing, partner.
What's
Stephen
that?
Thomas was not there in those previous games.
Oh.
But, you know, you have Stephen Thomas here, so it makes life harder for Sam Deguara.
Right.
Just like Ganuela's roster there, running into a wall.
And it's also the type of fouls that he gets, talking about Big Sam, for a 7'6" guy, as we've seen also at times, not only once, but multiple times already. He would foul somebody from beyond the 3. He would foul a guard from beyond the 3. So he would bite on shot fakes and then would end up fouling the offensive player. Not in this game though, although he has 3 fouls. But something that he would have to work on as the season goes on.
Sam Deguara, so far, playing about 15 minutes in this contest, as Herring knocks in the first free throw. And the Wolf Warriors, although their record stands at 2-4 at this point, Julian Boyd was telling me before this game that in a lot of their losses, they were not blown out, they were in the game. So despite this 2-4 win-loss tally, they're still very optimistic about the season. And a win tonight would really change the fortunes of these Wolf Warriors.
And would certainly boost their confidence, because this is one of the hottest teams in the league in Alab Pilipinas, one of the top teams in the league at 4-1.
(75-71), the home team down by 4, and now we see Deguara post up. But right away, he turns around, throws it out, and maybe it was a good idea because it led to that triple by Khalif Wyatt, 13 points in the game.
You see, that's a lapse to me defensively on Herring, because he was not in the position to help, and there's CC once again with that familiar 35-year-old-ish drive.
Now the Wolf Warriors, they have some bulldozers on this team.
Right.
Deguara spins
That's
out
a walk.
of control.
That's a walk.
traveling on Deguara.
Something that you don't want to see Sam doing, putting the ball on the floor and making counter spin moves. Now this is an easy call to make, as the big guy falls down and walks.
Herring throws it out. CC for 3. Sai Shin. And that's why they love him in Macau and in China.
Why not? 13 points in the ball game.
And here's a familiar sight. Clock winding down, and who has the basketball? Number 1, Khalif Wyatt. Oh, what a pass by Wyatt! Finding Ganuela's roster.
That was a beauty.
CC for 3. Overshoots that one, wanting a foul Did not get it. As time expires at the end of the third. What a matchup, what a game, and what a start to the first home game for San Miguel Alab Pilipinas.
Both teams getting into a terrific offensive flow, but Alab Pilipinas giving up the most points in a quarter in this game. 30 to be exact. Not a good defensive quarter for Coach Jimmy and his squad.
Nick King with a career high 29 points. That's his career high in the ASEAN Basketball League, leading the charge for the home team. But Julian Boyd coming up with a huge bounce back game, 16 points for him after tallying just 9 against Singapore. Fourth quarter coming up. This is season 10 of the ASEAN Basketball League. The 4-game winning streak of San Miguel Alab Pilipinas is on the line tonight here in San Juan City as head coach Jimmy Alapag gathering the troops as they get ready to go back to war against the Macau Wolf Warriors. Once again, glad to have you with us on this special presentation by ABS-CBN Sports and Virtual Playground. Anton Rojas together with Christian Luanzon and Franny Reyes as we begin the fourth quarter. Now, partner, you were just talking to Doug Herring. What was that exchange all about?
I wanted to make sure that he likes Spencer Dinwiddie, which is a pretty good damn player, by the way.
Oh, what did he say?
He approves of it, and why not?
Let's see if he will come up with those types of moments that Spencer does here in the fourth. They're going to need it. But I think Doug Herring is fine just being Doug Herring. I mean, he's a winner.
And that's all they need. He's been playing like a winner. As you see the quarter scoring for each team, you see that 33-point explosion in the third, making a huge difference after Alab coming back in that second quarter to tie things up after 2 quarters. But this guy, very familiar of having an impact as he did in the last game against the Dreamers, making an impact to start the fourth.
Louis Vigil. Boyd backing down Ganuelas Rosser. Ewing, difficult shot, bothered by the presence of Wyatt. Alab Pilipinas down by 2, 80-78. And Wyatt really waited for the signal of Coach Jimmy Alapag. And they go down low to the Seminator. Deguara just unable to put it down on that jump hook.
Good defense once again by Thomas. Did enough to force the miss.
Herring for 3, overshoots that one. Boyd.
And look at Vigil getting his hand in the cookie jar, almost forcing the turnover. But Boyd, because of his alertness for the extra possession, will get the extra possession.
Herring throws it out to Ewing, gives it back to Herring.
There you see the adjustment right now by Gray. Earlier they were giving up the outside shot. That time getting a hand up. Herring reading the defense, driving baseline, and feeding it to who else? Mr. Thomas.
He's been a beast in this game. 9 points for the legend, Stephen Thomas. Jeremiah Gray. 8 points in the contest, including 2 3-point bombs.
He's been a beast. He's his whole life, basically, Thomas. But Gray comes up with I thought that's a big basket to answer right back.
Herring gives it up to Thomas. 7 on the shot clock. Shentu on the drive. Shentu with a miss. Thomas nearly putting it back in. And
I think that's a foul on Sam.
And Wyatt's got to be careful. He's coming at the referee. But let's go back to this nice play. Doug Herring feeding the beast, Stephen Thomas, with that classic running hook.
Right. And nothing you can do about that because Deguara did his job. He helped on the basketball already, and he was the one who helped on Stephen Thomas from where he came from. And the other guys of what coaches call the helpers of the help has to be there, which clearly wasn't. But the other play, as they were able to get the stop, and then Wyatt was trying to fight for the loose ball. I believe the foul was called on Deguara.
And the technical foul
Was called on Wyatt. Right.
That's why Boogie Ewing shot that technical free throw.
Right. And that's why Deguara is checking back out again.
Let's go back to Franny Reyes.
When I spoke with Coach Todd, he told me that he's really trying to embed a winning mentality in the Macau Wolf Warriors. But since starting strong in the first quarter, Alab Pilipinas has caught up to them. They're doing well offensively, but they have to improve on defense, containing players like King if they want to keep their lead. Coach also told me that they've led in the fourth quarter in their last 5 games. So it's really about closing and finishing strong. Let's see if they can do just that to extinguish the hottest team in the league. Anton and Christian.
Franny, that's what they have been working on throughout the early goings of Season 10 of the ABL. As Julian Boyd told me before the game, they haven't been blown out. They've been in every game. It's just a matter of closing things out. Vigil, size advantage over Boogie Ewing and takes full advantage of it.
Well, one thing that Louis Vigil, as both of us were able to follow his young career, is he knows buckets. And that's what he's doing so far for Alab, especially in this quarter.
Who for 3? Too strong. Wyatt. Oh. Ganuelas Rosser hits the deck. Gets back up. Wyatt gives it back to Rosser. Brandon Ganuelas Rosser is pumped up. Gives Alab Pilipinas the lead.
It's not how you fall, it's how you get back up quickly. Ganuelas Rosser, even though falling down, was able to recover and get back and be the recipient of a layup, but the Wolf Warriors able to get back quickly on the other end.
Doug Herring with the intensity on his face, looking to put the Wolf Warriors on his back. Boyd with a steal. Julian Boyd drops the hammer, tearing down the rim. Julian Boyd silencing the crowd.
After only a bucket in the third quarter, after scoring 14 points in the first half, he opens up the fourth quarter with a monster slam of a steal.
Now let's take a look at this last play. Julian Boyd up, in the way.
Gotta love the two-handed flush off of one leg by Julian Boyd.
And there's his teammate back in Long Island University, Jason Brickman. Oh, what a game for Boyd. 18 points, doubling his output in the loss against Singapore. Herring. Who on the drive. And he will head to the line for 2.
So after getting 2 buckets to start the fourth in Louis Vigil, 2 lapses. First was the turnover, and this one on the defensive end, allowing the straight line drive and fouling a guy like who misses the first free throw. Coach Jimmy Alapag, watching his reaction, not happy with the last play.
5 minutes and 44 seconds remaining here in the fourth period. Another tight one between the Wolf Warriors and Alab Pilipinas. A game that the Wolf Warriors desperately need to win because they are 2-4 right now. Alab Pilipinas 4-1. Brickman to King. And that's a foul. And if you look at the upper portion of your screens, you see Sam Deguara working out in the tunnel, trying to stay loose.
because he knows he's about to check in any minute now.
Gray short on the triple try. Herring has the basketball. Wolf Warriors on top by 3. Who able to draw the foul on Wyatt.
Smart. He initiated the contact and was just enough to force the official to blow the whistle. Watch this one, Anton. He goes right to the chest of Wyatt. And that's enough for the official to make the call as he heads to the free throw line.
That's Albert Bordeos, who plays for your alma mater, the University of Santo Tomas.
Right?
I thought you were going to add something positive.
I think that's enough. All I can say is they're going to see each other in the UAAP.
I'll save that news for later.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Khalif Wyatt has the basketball. And the switch. Thomas wants this matchup. Ooh! Thomas was nodding his head. And Wyatt pump fake. Thomas took the bait. But you like the gamesmanship.
Right. Showing the basketball, and this is clearly a foul because you got to give space for the shooter now. Same thing to what happened on the other end by who initiated a contact on Wyatt on a layup, but this time on a 3, gets Thomas up in the air.
Get out of there!
But I'm sure, see, yeah, reading the lips of Stephen Thomas, the great Rasheed Wallace, ball don't lie.
And this is what we were explaining earlier. Sam De Guara trying to stay loose. Wyatt sinking the second free throw.
So it's a half a lie already, right?
2 for 3 as we take a look at Coach Todd Purvis. Trying to turn the situation of the Wolf Warriors around. Thomas wants it in the post against Domingo.
Mouse in the house.
Thomas unable to finish, and that's a foul on Stephen Thomas.
Now that's what Coach Jimmy was talking about earlier with Lawrence Domingo. Earlier, if you remember, in the first half, a foul was called on Domingo with too much contact. This time just puts his hands up. And then you just gotta hope that Stephen Thomas, even that deep, would miss.
Alab Pilipinas down by 3. Crucial possession right here. Brickman.
Good screen.
Floater, short. Thomas with the board. That's the #1 rebounder in ABL history.
Just had 20 rebounds in the last game.
Brickman almost completing a steal, but deflected it enough for Gray to give it back to him. Brickman missing on the 3. Thomas recovers the loose ball. Herring. Boogie Ewing for 3. Too strong. Ewing chasing the loose ball. Domingo dives. Saves it to Brickman. King has it. Back to Gray with a finish. What a sequence.
Sometimes it's not just executing the pretty plays, it's getting down and dirty. What a play by Alab collectively to end up with a layup.
Boyd powering his way up but could not finish. Brickman, Ewing in front of him. Wyatt for the lead. Wyatt, that was his shot. Those were the type of shots Khalif Wyatt has hit this season for Alab Pilipinas. He has been their hero in the clutch. Herring accelerates, steps on the brakes. Herring is able to draw the foul.
That's worth another look. Not sure about the call right there, but this was the sequence we talked about. The loose ball, 4 players fighting for it. Ball ends up with Alab. A little 2-on-2 break. And Gray, who started it off on the other end, sprints right back to the offensive end to finish it off. Herring on the other end, as Alab was icing the ball screen. Herring ends up on the line. Here's the play. Now forces the issue, maintains his pivot foot. Now that's clean to me. That's clean to me.
But because he's Doug Herring, because he has an ABL championship under his belt, he can get those calls just like you used to back in the day.
Wow. I'm not so sure about that.
Doug Herring, though, missed the first free throw, and the crowd is at its loudest as of the moment. And because of the noise level, maybe they bothered Herring, and he missed both. Another chance for Alab Pilipinas to take the lead. Brickman to King, drive, sidesteps. King will head to the line for two.
What a decoy play on a horns or double high play, wherein usually there's two guards spread to each corner, but on this one, they do a pick and pop to swing it right back to the other side, which means the other side has more space. And King operates, puts the ball on the deck, makes a little sidestep move, absorbs contact, and will get to the line.
First free throw is good for Nick King. Again, a career high in the ABL for him. 30 points for the native from Memphis, Tennessee.
Along with 11 boards.
Yep. His best game so far in the ABL.
No question.
And he gives Alab Pilipinas the lead. 91-90. Herring to Boyd on the jumper. Julian Boyd, shot was short. Thomas! Stephen Thomas with another rebound. And he will be tested at the free throw line. Oh boy. They had to hold Stephen Thomas down to make sure he wouldn't throw it down.
And that's a good foul, because the last thing that you want is a three-point play or worse, an unsportsmanlike foul. But instead you force Stephen Thomas to the line and just hope that he misses or splits. Misses both or splits. He misses the first one.
So that's 3 straight free throws now missed by the Macau Wolf Warriors. And finally, Thomas stops the drought as Coach Jimmy Alab calls a timeout with the score tied at 91 with 2 minutes and 29 seconds to go. At the top of the coverage, we were talking about how close and how intense the first meeting between the Wolf Warriors and Alab Pilipinas was. The game went into overtime. Alab Pilipinas won 114-110. It's sort of the same. We are getting the same vibe right now as the game is tied at 91. And free throws have been very crucial. Remember, Doug Herring was fouled at the end of regulation with 1.8 seconds remaining, fouled while taking a three. He could have finished the game had he made all three but missed the first free throw. So the game went into overtime, and eventually Alab Pilipinas came up with a W in China.
That and how well they have defended the three, talking about the Wolf Warriors, because Alab in that first meeting was 17 out of 38. Their most so far in terms of makes and attempts. But so far tonight, they have limited Alab to only 7 makes on 25 shots.
Coming off the timeout, let's see what San Miguel Alab Pilipinas does. The pass was intended for Deguara. Wolf Warriors defended it perfectly. Comes up with a stop.
Yeah, great read by Boyd right there to get a hand in and eventually get the steal as he hits a big-time three-pointer. Back-to-back plays by Mr. Boyd.
And he wasn't lying when he told me he patterned this game after Blake Griffin knocking down that long three. Doing damage from inside and outside. Brickman grabs his own miss. Wyatt again! Not that time, but the shot was there for Khalif.
Would have been a what a play by Brickman, getting the offensive rebound and the kick out. But it's been a tough night from downtown for Alab.
Herring, 9 on the shot clock. Herring steps back. Gray still in front of him. Doug Herring steps back. Jumper. Doug Herring! Much in the clutch. Fresh, live. Wolf Warriors on top, 96-91. Timeout, Alab Pilipinas. Alab Pilipinas came back from the depths. The last time we saw them in action against the Formosa Dreamers, they are in the same kind of predicament against a different team right now in the form of the Wolf Warriors. And these were the clutch baskets. They just hit a triple by Julian Boyd and the step back jumper by one Doug Herring.
Well, he wanted that basket so badly that he had his head down while dribbling. He missed Stephen Thomas wide open underneath for a moment. But because of his so-called ice in his veins, kept this dribble, uses a reverse between the legs, gets the space, and that's all he needs to knock down that perimeter jumper.
Deguara spins baseline. Deguara trying to regain his balance. Throws it out. Brickman looking for Wyatt. Pass stolen away by Herring. Tang using his speed. And he scores! The Wolf Warriors with a 98-91 lead with less than a minute to go. Timeout, Alab Pilipinas. A 7-0 run put up by the Macau Wolf Warriors, and look at the defense of the legend. Sam Deguara had nowhere to go.
Credit also Coach Todd Purvis, as Alab came off a timeout, which means he had also the time to tell his team not to collapse and not to give up the three-pointer, because it looked like Alab was looking for a 3-point shot on the last possession because I thought, Sam De Guara, even though with a tough angle forced by Stephen Thomas, had a shot underneath for a bucket. But because they wanted to go for the 3, it was well defended and covered by the defense of the Warriors that led to the turnover and layup.
Well, they might need the 3 right now. This one right here, Nick King, wide open, just unable to put it down. Alab Pilipinas can't buy a bucket late here in this contest.
And they're just going to use clock, and then to me, that's the ball game, especially with a 3-possession lead right now.
Doug Herring looking for the dagger. And Tang with perhaps the game-winning rebound right there. Coach Todd Purvis yelling, hold the ball. Just hold the ball.
Well, what an impressive win by the Macau Wolf Warriors to come in here and break the streak, the 4-game winning streak of Alab Pilipinas.
They just look like a different team, right?
Especially Herring. The slow start that he had to this game got it going in that third quarter, wherein they were able to score a quarter high of 33. A big part of why he came up with that big-time jumper a few moments ago, and a big part why they have this 5-point win.
2020, a fresh start for all the teams in the ASEAN Basketball League, and what a battle that was between Thomas and De Guara, the legend getting the better of the Salmonator, and Doug Herring. We learned all about his heroics when he led the CLS Knights Indonesia to the championship last season, and he's looking to bring that winning mentality and attitude to the Macau Wolf Warriors as they defeat San Miguel Alab Pilipinas tonight, 98-93.
8 points in the first half, finished the game with 21, went to the line 12 times, and made 9 free throws for 75%. Also finished with 9 dimes and had that closing of a basket, that jumper that iced the game, pretty much iced the game for Mr. Herring.
Is he still emerging?
No question. Not at all. He's a star.
No doubt about that, partner, as the Taipei Fubon Braves will head here to the Filoil Flying V Center on Tuesday as San Miguel Alab Pilipinas looks to bounce back again. For all the ABL fans, the game will take place at 4 p.m. because it's a weekday, January 7th. So ABL 10 continues, coming right at you.
And this is what you like about their schedule. This favors them, especially after this loss. Get one practice in tomorrow, and then you have a chance to forget about this game and get back on the winning track.
So once again, the Macau Wolf Warriors humped the 4-game winning streak of San Miguel Alab Pilipinas, winning 98-93. On behalf of our Director Abed Ramos and all of us from Virtual Playground and ABS-CBN Sports, our courtside reporter Franny Reyes, and my partner Christian Luanzon, I'm Anton Ross saying thank you all for watching, and we will see you all again next time as we continue our rise to greatness in Season 10 of the ASEAN Basketball League.